Good afternoon and welcome back to my channel. Today I usually have to work on Saturdays, but today I had off because it's my birthday. So I spent the afternoon with my brother, my nephew, and my mother, and we went out to lunch, and we had a nice lunch, and we were talking about the Bible and everything, and I wanted to finish this two-part little message or little Bible study on the book of Daniel, chapter 2. And we left off, we actually read the whole chapter. It was kind of difficult because I don't enunciate these names very well, but that was okay. So we were going from, okay, I'm going to read from Daniel chapter 2, verse number 32, and it says, "This image head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, and his feet part iron and part clay." So, of course, Daniel interprets that the golden head, was the king Nebuchadnezzar. So we know that that prophecy has already come to pass. Now, I don't like to go into prophecy because it isn't really my forte, but since I started this, we're going to go ahead and finish it. So that's what God gave a vision to Daniel, and he interpreted the dream for Daniel, and he was just relaying the message to Nebuchadnezzar because he knew that God was the interpreter and not himself. That's what we always should remember, that we don't have the power, but God does. You know, I am only a humble servant of God. So if I get this wrong, you're going to have to forgive me. But it makes very much sense because I read about it and I studied about it. I even looked at my old uh, Bible school notes so I wouldn't get this wrong. So here is the interpretation of this chest of silver. It was the kingdom of the Medes and Persia. So that is actually has come to pass also. And then you look at the thighs, which were brass, and that was the kingdom of Greece. So all these have already come to pass. And then the legs were iron, and that was actually the Roman Empire. Of course, during Jesus' time, the Roman Empire was over Jerusalem. They actually were in charge of Jerusalem and all the lands over in the Middle East. Um, so they were the Roman Empire actually ruled. And also, you think about this, in that time when Jesus was alive, the Roman emperor actually set himself up not only as the emperor, but they also set themselves up as God or gods. So the Roman emperor was actually revered as a god because they set themselves up as that. So those four kingdoms have already come to pass. Now the fourth kingdom is of the feet of iron and clay. Do you know what happens when you try to mix iron and clay together? Basically, it's like oil and water. They do not mix. They can't adhere to each other. They can, when they're mixed like that, they don't have any strength because, you know, clay, it is very, very fragile. And then you try to put iron in with the clay, it just doesn't mix. So this last kingdom is actually a representation of what the kingdom in the latter days. And what I read in my notes and everything is that this is the latter day kingdom, or the latter day revived Roman kingdom. But it doesn't typically have to be Rome, because in Daniel's day, he could not see into that future because he didn't even know who the Romans were going to be. So this kingdom could be anywhere in the world. It could be like in Russia. It could be, Ukraine, or it could be even anywhere in the Europeans, you know, in the European wherever in the European world is what I'm trying to say. But also it could be the United States. We don't know. But it does tell you that iron and clay does not mix together. So there are things that don't mix together which weaken the government. Example would be like a conflict between labor and management, democracy and communism. What is happening now with the United States? United States is in a very volatile situation because Trump wants us to leave NATO, an entity that is made to protect each country, the ally forces. We actually depended on our ally forces during the time of 9/11. The allies came to our rescue. They helped us, actually. And Trump is saying that NATO never did anything for us. That's not true. Of course, we're United States are turning our backs on our allies. The European, the British people have always been well, not always. When we came in when the settlers came to the United States, is because they wanted to get away from the British church. But we are actually turning our backs on our allies. You think of Canada is one of our allies. And what are we doing? We're turning our backs on them. We're in this tariff war against our allies. And then we're trying to buy Greenland? What? This is stuff that we think of a science fiction television show. I used to like this show that came on, I think it was in the 90s, called Sliders, and they would go to different worlds where, everything was like bizarro world. That's what I feel like we are actually in, like a bizarro world, because we're actually siding with a communist country instead of helping Ukraine. Okay, that's really bizarro to me, because when I was growing up, we always hear about the Cold War. You know what the Cold War was, about the nuclear weapons. United States had so many nuclear weapons, and then Russia had so many weapons, and we would watch films and movies about what would possibly happen if we went into a nuclear war, like War Games. Remember that with Matthew Broderick? It was a 1980s movie. When I found out about nuclear weapons, I did not believe it. I could not believe that, that we had nuclear weapons pointed at Russia and they had some pointed at us. I was terrified. I couldn't sleep at night. And here we are, aligning ourselves with the Communist Party. It reminds me of that image of that man in Daniel. Clay and iron, they do not mix. Clay and iron will never mix. And you think about that. I think about it. It terrifies me. I can't sleep at night. But I have to remember that it's all in God's hands. It's all has been ordered. It's all been prophesied. Now, I don't know if the United States is that iron clay vision, but it has to make you think about, where is our country headed towards? It isn't good, because I just did like a short on remember I was talking about how I was afraid that maybe they were going to shut down like Native American agencies. Well, I just did a short on a video that I seen today about the Osage offices of a Bureau of Indian Affairs. Doge is actually shutting them down. So that makes me very, very fearful of what else they're going to shut down. So keep the faith, guys. Of course, if you like the content, I would like it if you smash that thumbs up, leave a comment, and of course, subscribe. And have a great day, and may God bless you, and keep the faith. Don't worry, because it's all in God's hands. Whatever happens, you know, we could wake up in heaven tomorrow. Who knows? We don't know. But it does say in the Bible, in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye. And we have to be ready. So guys, girls, men, get ready, because we don't know.